She was a bright soul. Crystal, wow. I can't believe I'm even doing this right now. Crystal was an awesome person. I talked to her a couple hours right before everything had happened.
This is Crystal Crockett, a 21 years old nursing student and the brand new mother of twin baby girls who were still fighting for their lives in the hospital. That same morning of her birth, she was shot multiple times and left for dead in a Chicago alley, and the man who did it was the father of her children. And what the cameras caught that day is something you will not be able to unsee. Before we get into what happened in that alley, you need to know who Crystal was, because the people who loved her will tell you she was not just another name in a news headline. She had a whole life she was building and was genuinely close to getting everything she was working for.
She loved taking care of people. She loved taking care of my grandmother. She worked as a home health aide for my grandfather before he passed, and she just loved her job.
Crystal Irene Crockett was born around the year 2000 and grew up in Downers Grove, a quiet suburb just outside of Chicago. She came from a close family with her mother, Kalia Robinson, her older brother, Creston, her sister, Nevia, and a younger sibling named Kobe. People who knew her described her as the quiet type at first, the kind of person who took a little time to warm up, but once she did, you would find this warm, lively, energetic side of her that stayed with you. Her family said she had been through a lot growing up, but never let any of it throw her off course. No drama, no trouble, just a young woman with her head down and her eyes on where she was going. A few years before her death, Crystal made a move that tells you exactly what she was about. She packed up and left the suburbs, relocated to Chicago's South Side, and she did it for two reasons: to take care of her elderly grandparents and to go to nursing school. She had already been working as a home health aide, looking after her grandfather until he passed, and continuing to care for her grandmother after that. This was clearly something that came naturally to her and that she genuinely loved doing. Her sister Nevia said it best. So she took that energy and turned it into a real career path. She enrolled at Malcolm X College, one of the city colleges of Chicago, and was working toward her nursing degree. She was about 2 years away from finishing that degree, which for someone who had moved to a new city on her own and was navigating life without a lot of outside support, 2 more years and she would have had it locked in. Then, in the summer of 2020, she met Elijah Clippard. Clippard was 31 years old, 10 years older than Crystal, and a lifelong Southside Chicago resident. What Crystal probably did not know when they first got together was that his criminal history went all the way back to 2009. He was about 19 or 20 years old and had charges including felony convictions for breaking into a home, receiving a stolen car, and manufacturing and delivering heroin. By the time he and Crystal started dating, all of those prior sentences had been completed and discharged, so that record was not something she would have automatically known about. To her, he was just a man from the neighborhood she had found herself in. They started a relationship, and by early 2021, Crystal discovered she was pregnant with twins. Her family said her reaction was nothing but joy, especially when she found out the babies were girls. On March 21st, 2021, Crystal gave birth to Isla and Italy at roughly 24 to 25 weeks of pregnancy. For context, a full-term pregnancy is around 40 weeks, so the girls came into the world extremely early and needed intensive medical support just to stay alive. Both babies were placed immediately in the neonatal intensive care unit, which people call the NICU, at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago, where they were kept on oxygen and watched over constantly. They had not left that hospital a single day since they were born. But Crystal showed up for them every single day anyway. Without fail, she was at that hospital with her daughters, even while she was still healing from the birth, still enrolled in school, still trying to keep her life together. Her family called her a natural supermom, and from everything they described, that is not an exaggeration. She was showing up fully, doing the work, loving those babies hard, even when the circumstances were hard. But while all of that was going on, something else was building inside the relationship that her family could see, even if Crystal was still trying to manage it on her own. Her sister Nevaeh would later tell reporters that Crystal had been expressing real fear of Clifford, that she felt she could not say no to him without it becoming a problem. Nevaeh had already been telling her sister to get out of the relationship, but Crystal, the way so many women do in that kind of situation, was trying to find the safest way to navigate it, probably thinking about her daughters and what she needed to hold together for their sake, probably hoping that things would eventually calm down. They did not calm down. The night of June 14, 2021, Crystal and Clifford were at Rush University Medical Center together visiting Isla and Italy. Hospital cameras picked up both of them there that evening, spending time with their daughters in the NICU. That visit would turn out to be the last moment anyone ever had on camera of them together in peace. Later that night, Crystal's brother Creston spoke to her by phone. He had no idea at the time that it would be the last conversation he would ever have with his sister. It was around 6:15 in the morning when multiple surveillance cameras in the 4500 block of South Wabash Avenue, right near East 45th Street, picked up a car pulling into an empty parking lot behind an apartment building. This lot was behind a building where Crystal had previously lived, so this was not a random location. Whoever was driving knew exactly where they were going, and they had chosen somewhere quiet and out of the way. Clifford was driving, and Crystal was in the front passenger seat. He parked the car, and then he got out. The cameras showed him already holding a firearm in his right hand as he stepped out of the vehicle. He was visibly worked up, and before he did anything else, he looked around the lot to check that nobody was watching. Then he turned toward the car and opened fire, shooting at Crystal multiple times while she was still sitting in the passenger seat. According to prosecutors, the smoke from the gunfire was visible filling up the inside of the car and coming out through the passenger side. Crystal tried to get out. She got the door open and tried to run for her life. Clifford climbed across the front seat of the car, dragged her out into the alley, and kicked her while she was on the ground. Then he pointed the gun directly at the back of her head and shot her again, multiple more times. And as if that wasn't enough, as he turned and started walking away to leave the scene on foot, he turned back around one final time and fired more shots at her before he kept going. A woman in a nearby building heard the gunshots and came outside to find Crystal in the alley. She was pronounced dead at the scene at 6:42 in the morning by the Cook County Medical Examiner's office, with the official cause of death listed as multiple gunshot wounds and the manner of death ruled a homicide. After leaving that alley, Clifford didn't go far or try to disappear. Chicago Transit Authority cameras picked him up at a nearby train station just minutes after the shooting, and he eventually ended up at a residence on the far south side in the 11,000 block of East 130th Street in a neighborhood called Eden Green. He stayed there while Crystal's family received the worst phone call of their lives, while her brother tried to make sense of the fact that the woman he had spoken to just hours earlier was now gone, while two premature baby girls in the NICU no longer had a mother coming to see them. Now, a question a lot of people have when they hear this story is, what exactly did Crystal say no to that morning? What was the thing she refused him that set this off? Her family was never able to say exactly. What her sister Nevaeh told reporters was simply that Crystal had told Clifford no on the day of the shooting, and that based on how the relationship had been going, any time she said no to him, it became a serious problem. Maybe she had finally decided to end things between them or refused a specific request he made that morning. The research does not tell us, and the family never said. What we do know is that whatever it was, a man with 3 prior felony convictions decided that was reason enough to arm himself, drive her to a secluded location, and take her life. And what makes this hit even harder is knowing this did not come out of nowhere. Crystal herself had already been living with the fear of what he might do. The warning signs were already there, but she was the one inside the relationship, trying to figure out how to get out safely while also trying to be a mother to 2 premature babies who needed her. Her brother Creston said publicly, "I now wish my sister had stayed in the suburbs." That line will sit with you when you really think about it.
New at 10 tonight, we are hearing from the family of a young mother who was down 3 months after giving birth to premature twins. Tonight, her boyfriend is charged with murder, and the baby girls are still in the hospital without their mother by their side.
My daughter did not deserve this, and I want to go to jail forever.
A grieving mother and the siblings of Crystal Crockett came to Chicago Police Headquarters from Downers Grove today to speak exclusively to ABC 7's Michelle Gallardo. Crystal was just 2 years away from getting her nursing degree at Malcolm X College and was thrilled to be a new mom to little Isla in Italy.
Crystal was really happy to be a mom. She was super, super excited. It's like as soon as she became a mom, she hit the ground running. She loved taking care of people. She loved taking care of my grandmother. She worked as a home health aide for my grandfather before he passed. And she just loved her job. And she just always liked nursing.
Prosecutors say the father of the babies, 31-year-old Elijah Clippard, Crystal in cold blood in an alley at 45th and Wabash. Hospital videos show the couple at the hospital the day before, and surveillance video shows the couple early the next morning. Clippard with her several times. They had been dating since last summer. Clippard was held without bond at a Thursday court appearance.
Yeah, she was a bright soul. Crystal, wow, I can't believe I'm even doing this right now. Crystal was an awesome person. I talked to her a couple hours right before everything had happened.
Described as a caring soul with a bright future, Crystal had acted as a homemaid to her grandparents and loved the caring arts. Her daughters, essentially parentless now, remain on oxygen, but the family is hoping they will be able to bring them home soon.
She was really happy to be a mom. She went all out. She was really proud of girls, too. That's what she really wanted, was girls. She got her dream.
None of the family members knew the alleged killer well, and they're vowing as a group to take care of little Isla in Italy and ensure they know how much their mother loved them.
My daughter was a wonderful person, and I'm going to miss her.
Well, Crystal Crockett's alleged is due back in court next month, and Crockett's family has set up a GoFundMe page to benefit those young twins and pay for funeral expenses. And so we have posted a link on our website and our news app if you'd like to make a donation.
This is also not a story that exists in isolation. In 2025, Chicago recorded at least 63 domestic violence-related killings, which was a 15% increase from the year before, even as the city's overall murder numbers dropped by 29%. More than 80% of those deaths happened on the south and west sides of the city, the same communities, the same patterns repeating year after year. Crystal's story is one version of something that keeps happening, and the common thread running through all of it is what her family already knew. The most dangerous person in many women's lives is not a stranger, it is someone they already let in. Chicago police began their investigation almost immediately after Crystal's body was found in that alley on the morning of June 15th. What they had going for them from the start was something that prosecutors would later describe as a nearly complete picture of what happened, because multiple cameras had been rolling the entire time. The evidence they gathered came from three main sources. First, hospital surveillance footage from Rush University Medical Center showing Crystal and Clippard together at the NICU on the evening of June 14th, the night before the murder. That footage placed them together in a calm, normal setting less than 12 hours before she was killed. Second, the scene cameras in the 4,500 block of South Wabash Avenue that captured the entire sequence of events in the parking lot and alley that morning. And third, the Chicago Transit Authority surveillance video showing Clippard at a nearby train station just minutes after the shooting, confirming both his presence at the scene and his route away from it. They also had a witness. A woman who lived nearby heard the gunshots, came outside, and found Crystal in the alley. Her account helped establish the timeline and confirmed that no one else was involved. Between the video evidence and that witness statement, investigators had more than enough to move forward. On June 23, 2021, 8 days after the murder, the Great Lakes Fugitive Task Force and Chicago Police Department located Clippard at the residence on East 130th Street and took him into custody without any resistance. He was formally charged the same day with one count of first-degree murder under Cook County. The following morning, June 24, 2021, he appeared before a judge at the Central Bond Court in Chicago. This is where everything became public for the first time, because prosecutors stood up and walked through what the surveillance cameras had actually recorded, detail by detail. They described how Clippard stepped out of the vehicle already holding the gun, how he checked the area to make sure no one was watching, how he fired into the car while Crystal was still seated, how he dragged her out when she tried to flee, how he kicked her on the ground, how he shot her again directly at the back of her head, and how he turned around to fire more rounds at her even as he was leaving. Every single one of those actions was on camera. The judge heard all of that and ordered Clippard held without bail, meaning he would stay in a jail cell from that point forward without any option to pay his way out while the case moved through the courts. He was expected back in court on July 14, 2021 for his initial status hearing. What happened after that did not generate any media coverage. There was no dramatic trial, no jury, no verdict announced in the news. The case was resolved through a guilty plea, meaning Clippard admitted to the murder and accepted a sentence rather than going through a full trial. Official records from the Illinois Department of Corrections confirmed that he was sentenced to 45 years in prison for first-degree murder, which under Illinois law for intentional killing falls within the standard range of 20 to 60 years. He was formally admitted to the state prison system on August 18, 2022, and he is currently housed at Menard Correctional Center in southern Illinois. His projected earliest parole date is June 17, 2066, which means he would be 76 years old before he even gets considered for release. For Crystal's family, the sentence being handed down did not close any wound. When they came to Chicago Police Headquarters on June 27, 2021, driving in together from Downers Grove, her mother Kylia, her sister Nevaeh, and her brother Creston stood in front of cameras and spoke about who Crystal was, not just what had been done to her. Nevaeh also organized a GoFundMe to cover Crystal's funeral expenses, and in the description she wrote for that page, she put into words what the family had been feeling since the moment they got the news. She wrote that Crystal had such a kindred soul, something many would describe as a soul of gold, and that 21 years were not enough. The page raised over $16,000 towards its goal. Crystal's visitation was held on July 8, 2021, followed by her wake the next morning at LeClaire Baptist Church in Chicago, and she was laid to rest at Oak Ridge Glen Oak Cemetery in Hillside, Illinois. As of today, those girls would be around 5 years old. The family has not shared any public updates about them since 2021, which is the right call. Those children deserve a private life, and from everything we know about the family Crystal came from, they are being taken care of, and they are being told about their mother. What do you think could have triggered Clippard that morning? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know what you think. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.